Hey YouTube, welcome to my investment journey series. This is a series we do right here on my YouTube channel where I take you guys through my entire Trading 212 portfolio. I do this once a week, usually at the weekends after the markets have closed. I can kind of look at how things have been for the past week, look at the investments I've made, look at any new ones that I've bought into, see what I've sold, see what dividends I've received, etc, etc. Just a complete overview of everything in my Trading 212 account. If you've not seen my face before, not seen these videos before, my name's Iain, I'm from Scotland, and I started investing at the beginning of April as we entered lockdown here in the UK, and I thought it was a good time to get involved in the world of investing and get into the stock markets, take advantage of the dip that was caused by the whole coronavirus pandemic, all the fear and uncertainty in the markets, etc. Things took a big dip in price, and I thought it was a good time to buy in and then make long-term investing work for me, and that's really how I've started. So this is, I think, episode 20, believe it or not. So I've been doing this now for 20 weeks in a row, which just blows my mind. I thought things were meant to slow down during a lockdown and during everything that we've been through, but it just seems like time's going just as quick as always. And we're now over 350 subscribers, which again is insane. So I really appreciate all you people subscribing, liking the videos, commenting. Really does keep me going. It's part of the reason why I keep doing this. I like to think I'm providing some sort of value to people out there, and yeah, it also helps keep me accountable. If you've seen my previous videos, I've mentioned that before, but just kind of sharing this journey helps. Today I'm in the kitchen doing this. Lighting's just better here. Being in Scotland, the weather's not predictable. It's pretty cloudy, so the room I'm usually filming in is just really dark just now. Should maybe look into getting some decent lighting for these videos, but whatever. And yeah, Hugo's featured again today. You've maybe seen him in a few videos in the past. He's my cat, and yeah, he's not camera shy at all, as you can see. I was trying to film this without him earlier, but he just kept jumping up on my lap and wanting attention, so that's why he's in this video today, aren't you? So yeah, that's all. As always, we're now going to jump over to my iPhone screen, and I'll open up the Trading 212 app on my iPhone, and then I will take you through everything from the past week, and we'll just see how things have been. So thanks again, guys. Really appreciate you watching this, and hopefully I'll be chatting to you in the comments very soon. See you later, Hugo. So here we are on my iPhone screen as always. I'm now opening up my Trading 212 app. Now, heads up, I've not actually been looking at this too much this week, so I'm kind of going in a little bit blind again this week, so it'll be interesting to see what's been going on. So I'll head to my portfolio page, as I always do. Make sure I'm on the weekly view here. And first up, ISA utilisation is now 31%, so I did deposit another £500 worth of my savings into my Trading 212 account earlier this week. You can still see that sitting there, free funds, £487.80. And I've not actually invested that into anything yet because I'm not too sure what I'm going to actually invest into next, but I can get into that later in this video. So the portfolio is now sitting at a value of £7,516.72. The total invested amount is £7,245.22, and my return is now showing a positive of £271.50. So overall my portfolio is up by 3.75%. So keeping on the weekly view here, as I always do, if I go back to last weekend, so this is when the markets were closed last weekend, so Sunday 9th of August, the portfolio was sitting at £7,433.46 in value, and my return was showing £202.25. So the important thing to look at here is the percentage up on the portfolio of investments. So it was 2.8% up in the green last week, and it's now went from 2.8% to 3.75%. So that's good. There's been some growth. So let's now jump down to my investments and see what's actually been going on this week. So first of all, we'll have a quick glance like we do. So we've seen green, green, red, green, 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 red, red, green, red, 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 green, red and green. Come back up to the top here. American Airlines, my 2 free shares that I got from you amazing people out there signing up through my referral links. This is up 2.23% from last week. So we're seeing a bit of growth there, and it's now showing a return of 35.19% on the portfolio, which is positive, I guess. From last week, it's obviously growing. I've not really been following much of American Airlines, I never really do, and I'm just going to kind of hold on to this and see what happens. Next up, we've got Cineworld Group here, my 200 sorry, my 200 shares. I was going to say 200 free shares. God, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it, if you got 200 free shares, wouldn't it? No, sorry, my 200 shares. These are quite new to the portfolio. I think it was 2 weeks ago I invested in Cineworld Group, took advantage of when their price was, it actually dropped again. So I bought in around this sort of point here, and then it dipped further. So if I had bought in there, that would have been ideal. But again, you can't time the market. It's time in the market that's important. Nobody can time the market, and we're not time travelers, so we can't do that sort of thing, unfortunately. But regardless, it's climbed pretty significantly since I invested, so I'm chuffed with that. And maybe I should have invested a bit more, but I'm, not all that confident in the future of cinema. I do think there's going to be a big surge, obviously, when cinemas open again. They will be hit quite badly with the whole social distancing, etc., all that sort of stuff. But anyway, 46.21% up from last week, which is amazing. That's actually a lot more than I thought. Like I said, I've not really been keeping track of things this week too well, and I was not expecting that, 46.21%. I did actually get an email last night from Cineworld, I think it was, saying that some of the cinemas local here in Aberdeen will be opening up again in the near future, and I guess that's the same across other places in the country, so I guess that's maybe bringing more positivity, and that's why the price has increased. So yeah, showing a return of £26.04 currently. That's my 200 shares, so we're 34.4% up with this one. Hive Group's next up. Never really say too much about this one. It was kind of a risky gamble that I took, and it's not playing out too well still. From last week, we're up 0.44%, but it's still showing a negative return, and it's actually still down by 28.11%. And yeah, nothing's changed there. Still got my 25 shares. Moving on to the iShares Core FTSE 100. This week, it's went up by 1.45% from last week, sorry. So that's again a bit more growth, and it's now showing a return of 6.21% for me. So £112.53 positive return at the moment, and that's my 320 units I've got in the FTSE 100. Again, this was one of my first investments this was my first investment on Trading 212, and I really just invested in here because the UK economy had fallen so much, and I thought it was a really good time to get investing in the UK economy. And there is still a lot of good companies in the FTSE 100, and also the iShares Core FTSE 100 pays a really good dividend, and it always has paid a good dividend. I know lately that's kind of been affected badly with the whole pandemic. A lot of companies are cutting their dividends and so on and so on, but I received a pretty healthy dividend from FTSE 100 a couple of months back, and I'm looking forward to when I get my next one. S&P 500 is next up, so my 80 units here, it's from last week up by 0.66%, so again a bit more growth, a bit more green, always positive to see. Now showing a return, my 80 units are now showing a return of £161.77, so this has grown by 8.55% in the portfolio, so I'm chuffed with that. S&P 500 will always remain one of my biggest, if not my biggest, investment in my Trading 212 portfolio. There's just so much potential in the US economy, and I might be wrong here, but the US economy, I'm sure it makes up 57% of the world stock market as a whole. If you looked at the whole world as a stock market, I'm sure the US economy accounts for 57% of it. I might be wrong there, but something maybe for somebody to check, or you can let me know in the comments if I'm totally off. S&P 500 will always remain a really big one for me, and I'm never going to stop investing into this. Nasdaq 100 is next up. This is a big focus on the technology sector, this one. I've got a lot of confidence in the technology sector, and that's why I got invested into this ETF. So from last week, we're down 0.83%, and I'm still showing a healthy return of £46.99. So it's still up by 10.87%, and I've still only got the one unit in this. I've not added any more, and like I say in my previous videos, the reason for this is because it's just so expensive to buy into. So one unit in this ETF is £479.35, but you get a lot of value in this ETF. If you just do a Google search on the Nasdaq 100, you'll see some of the companies are involved in here, and there's just so much value. You've got the likes of Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, etc., and that's why I will always remain to have this as my portfolio, and I'll continue to invest into this one. Moving on, we've got the iShares Physical Gold ETF. This again was a recent addition to the portfolio. Unfortunately, it looks like I bought in at probably one of the worst times, and I'm a bit gutted about that. But again, as I said earlier in the video, you cannot time the market,
Again, time in the market is what's important. I invested into gold because I wanted to diversify my portfolio a little bit more. And I mentioned a bit more about this in my last video, so I'm not going to explain it too much here. So check out my last week's video if you want to find out my reasons for doing this. But from last week, it's down 4.82%, and it's now showing a negative return, unfortunately, at £26.25. So I've got 15 units, and that's down by 5.69% overall. And just to give you a little bit of background here, when I did buy into this last week or the week before, I bought in at this point here. So that hyphenated line you can see at the top, that's when I bought in, and then literally as soon as I bought in, it just started to dip, and it's continued to dip. So yeah, this is exactly what I'm getting at about how you cannot time the market. And it's a shame I never bought in down here like I initially thought about doing, because it just climbed and climbed and climbed. But like I say, I bought in probably at one of the highest points of the last few months, and yeah, it's just continued to drop since. So a bit gutted about that one. But again, thinking long term, going to hold it. I'm sure gold will again increase in value, and we'll just have to see how this plays out in the future. iShares S&P 500 healthcare sector ETF. This is up 0.88% from last week, so a little bit of growth there. And I've got 38 units here, showing a negative return overall of £3.49. So that's what's down. So down by 1.48% overall, this investment. Legal & General Group, 145 shares. From last week, it's down by 0.62%. So my 145 shares are currently worth £326.67. So it's shown a return of £31.15. So it's actually up by 10.54% overall. The reason I like Legal & General is they always pay a decent dividend, and I just have a lot of faith in them as a company overall. Probably always going to have this in my portfolio, and I will increase my position into it probably in the future. But right just now I'm happy with where it is. They recently went Ex-Div. So if you're an investor in Legal & General, you will be receiving a dividend in the upcoming weeks, and the upcoming weeks to months, sorry. I can't remember the exact date for their next dividend payment, but if you want to check that, you can check out some of my previous videos where I do get into the ways you can find all this sort of stuff out. A good website to use is one called Dividend Max. So Google Dividend Max, you can find out all about this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to receiving my next dividend payment with Legal & General Group in the upcoming months. MGM Resorts is up next. Again, previous watchers, you'll know this was a bit of a gamble for me. From last week, it's up by 14.66%, so that's looking pretty positive. You can actually see right at the beginning there, it's shot up right at the beginning of the week, and it's kind of kept to these sort of levels. And my investment, my 5 shares, are currently worth £83.32. Overall, it's down by £6.41, so a decrease of 7.14% in the portfolio. But I'm still chuffed with how things are looking, and even though it was a bit of a gamble for me, long term, again, I'm thinking this will work out well. National Grid's next up, 3 free shares that I received from, again, you lovely people out there signing up through my Trading 212 referral links. By the way, if you want to start investing and you are not already doing so, please consider using my referral link in the comment section below, in the description below. Sign up for yourself to Trading 212, create an account, and you will receive a free share worth up to £100, and so will I. And yeah, I'll really appreciate it, so thanks if you do. Anyway, National Grid, from last week, it is down by 1.02%. So my investment, my 3 free shares, tongue twister again, currently showing a value of £26.76, and that is actually a return of negative £1.50, so it's down, like I say, down by 5.31% overall. Moving on to Royal Dutch Shell, one of my biggest investments in my portfolio. Looking at the weekly view, it's up by 1.65% from last week, and I've got 78 shares still in Royal Dutch Shell, which is worth £882.79. Overall, it's down by £111.07, so a decrease of 11.18% in the portfolio. Again, like I always say, I've got a lot of faith in Shell as a company. Looking long term to the future, I really do think they'll benefit, and investors who have currently invested and who have recently invested into Shell, I think they will be laughing in the future. That's just a personal opinion. I think once this whole coronavirus pandemic's out of the way, once oil starts picking back up again, and they're already looking into a lot of more renewable sources, they're looking to innovate more, they're looking down the routes of hydrogen, etc. And I just can't really see Shell failing anytime in the next 10 to 15 years. So yeah, I'm happy with this investment. And again, Shell pays a dividend. There'll be another dividend coming up in the next couple of months, I think. So yeah, I'm chuffed of them as a long-term investment for me. Under Armour is next up. So again, 2 free shares that I received from people signing up. From last week, it's up 3.87%. My 2 shares are worth £16.40, showing a return of 40p. Big whoop, 40p. 2.5% up in the portfolio. Not really much else to say on this one. I probably am going to sell at some point soon because I don't really have any interest in holding Under Armour as part of my portfolio. But for now, I'm just going to keep it there, see what happens over the next few weeks perhaps. Vallaris is next up. This is my worst investment to date, and you'll see why in a second, although things might have changed this week. Let's have a look. Nope, from last week it's down 17.43%. So just when I thought things couldn't get much worse for them, it looks like it has. This again was a bit of a gamble. Only reason I invested into Vallaris was because the price was so low, something I don't recommend people do. I didn't really know much about them as a company, and yeah, it's kinda not looking good. Thankfully I didn't invest a lot of money into this company. So my investment with Vallaris, I've got 26 shares, currently worth a whopping £6.48. So if I was to sell all my shares in Vallaris right just now, I would only get back £6.48. So I'm kind of thinking, what's the point in selling it? I may as well hold out and see what happens. I mean, is it really worth selling that for £6.48? In my opinion, it's not. But yeah, currently showing a return, negative £38.03. So it's actually down. Last week was bad enough, but this week it's down by 85.44% in the portfolio as an investment. So yeah, extremely negative. It still holds the record in my portfolio as the worst investment I've made to date. Let me know in the comment section below if you have an investment that is down by more than 85.44%, and if you're happy to share it with me, then please do, because I'd be interested to hear what it is. But yeah, I think that's enough of this one. I'm fed up seeing red, so let's move on quickly. And last but not least, my Vanguard FTSE Emerging Markets ETF, VFEM is the ticker symbol. From last week, it's up by 0.7%. And looking at my investment here as a whole, so I've got 20 units in the FTSE Emerging Markets, currently showing a value of £905. So it's showing a return at the moment of £82.21. So that's 9.99% up. I think it's important to have the emerging markets as part of my portfolio, in my opinion. Again, it's just further diversification. And I did go into more detail in my last week's video of why I've got this and the countries that you kind of get a position in if you invest in this ETF. So if you're interested in finding out more about this, check out last week's video and you'll get to hear me speak a bit more about this near the end. So heading down to the allocation view, I've got 15 investments. Portfolio overall is worth £7,516.72. S&P 500 is taking up 27.34%. The FTSE 100 is taking up 25.62%. FTSE Emerging Markets 12.04%. And then Shell 11.74%. And then everything else you can see here is under the 10% mark. But as I usually mention, I'm always happy to have my ETFs making up the bulk of my portfolio. So the S&P 500, the FTSE 100 and my FTSE Emerging Markets, I like to have them as the top three because, again, it's just further diversification, not having all your eggs in one basket. You're not relying purely on one company to go up or down, and it's nicely spread amongst a load of different companies, and that is why they will always remain to be the bulk of my portfolio. Looking at the dividends recently, there's not actually been any recent ones. So the last one was the 30th of June still. That was my FTSE Emerging Markets, and there's not really been anything changed there. Like I say, Legal & General, they just went Ex-Div recently, and there'll be another dividend coming up soon. And also Shell, I think they'll be coming up again soon. So I'm looking forward to receiving them when I do. And like I say, total dividends right just now is £42.74. Let me know in the comment section below your total dividends received so far by Trading 212, and also let me know how long you've been investing for. I'd just be interested to hear what your dividends are sitting at based on the amount of time you've been investing. So if you're looking to start investing, I recommend using Trading 212. That's the app you've been seeing here in this video, and it's the one I use for all my investments. I've been active on Trading 212 since the beginning of April, like I said, when we first entered lockdown here in the UK. And if you sign up using my link, which you can currently see here on the screen, it will also be in the description below this video, and I'll pin it as a top comment in the comment section below. If you click that link, sign up, create yourself an account, and you start investing with Trading 212, you will receive a free share worth up to £100, and I will also receive a free share worth up to £100. So yeah, if you like this video, please consider doing that. I'd really appreciate it. And also, if once you've done that, please let me know in the comments section. Let me know what free share you received. I'll also reply and let you know which one I received. I just think it'd be interesting to hear what sort of free shares we're receiving here. overall pretty positive. It's up by overall portfolio 3.75%. From last week, it's went from 2.8% to 3.75%, so I can't really complain. I am still a bit unsure of what I'm going to do with my remaining free funds. So yeah, the £487.80, which I deposited earlier this week, I've not put into anything yet. Probably, as I usually do, I would put that into the ETFs. So I'm tempted to just chuck maybe another £400 into the S&P 500 and then £100 into the FTSE 100 and take it from there. If you've got any recommendations of stocks I should be looking into, or if you've got any opinions, please do leave them in the comment section below. I love reading your comments and I reply to every single one. So let's build a bit of discussion around this and see what investments we should be looking at into next. So guys, if you made it to this point in the video, please do hit the like button if you've enjoyed this. If you've not enjoyed it, click the dislike button. It's fine, that's what it's there for. Also consider subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate all these recent subscribers, and I love having you guys following along just to see what's going to happen next in my Trading 212, see my recent updates and so on. And it's just building up a really good community of people here that are all like-minded with the terms of investing and long-term mindsets with things. Hopefully I will see you in next week's video. And yeah, check out my other videos on the channel. I've not just got ones centered around the world of my portfolio updates, I've also got other ones on Trading 212 and so on. So check them out, let me know what you think, and as always guys, thanks for watching, see you very soon.